Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Summer and Cynthia, the Summer and Cynthia show.
Woo-hoo.
Hey, we have theme music now, too. It's very
Yes,
exciting. We're growing this thing.
we are growing
We're growing it in Summer's backyard.
every day.
Yes. With friends from Fiverr who are helping us look better and better. Today, we are not talking about ourselves. Well, I guess we are probably going to talk a little bit about our perspective of somebody who we both admire a lot, who will remain on our screens or our radar, but not our radar screen, because a radar screen is redundant, I've been told. It can be on your radar or your screen, but not both, because really.
Or can they?
Shonda Rhimes. Is there anything more to say? Well, yeah, there is. There is, because you really do need to know Shonda's story apart from, oh, yeah, Grey's Anatomy, or apart from Scandal.
Hmm.
And
And how to get away with murder.
that's stuff
10 minutes.
that Summer and I spoke a bunch about on the podcast episodes that came out of Advanced TV History, where we were talking about role models and memorable characters. And Shonda has created a gazillion of them and very strategically. And she took all of that success from ABC and was lured over to Netflix. And so this week, in the middle of October, we stumbled
Hmm.
upon an article that appeared in the Hollywood Reporter, available online, called Shonda Rhimes is ready to, quote, own her stuff. The game changing showrunner on leaving ABC, culture shock at Netflix, and overcoming her fears. And so here we are about to land this plane called 2020. Um, we all have our eyes fixed on Netflix because they are just so much further ahead in their content,
The
and we're
king
waiting for
content.
her inaugural work to come through. So she did in this article this incredible sort of she provided her insights into what going to Netflix was like. We're going to talk a little bit about that. We're also going to talk a little bit about the book that she wrote many years ago now, called The Year of Yes, which Summer and I both found to be really, um it was a good reflection, and it's one to hang on to or reread again if you have the opportunity. But we'll tell you more about that in a second. So, Summer, I know you have some really strong feelings about Shonda Rhimes. We both read this article, and what did you think?
Well, very insightful. It was good to hear about what all went on in her mind in terms of that transition from ABC to Netflix. Of course, from the outside, we remember the news articles and the headlines talking about this, and it was this mega deal. But I love, and I'm jumping a little bit, how it was also someone else who got another mega deal with Netflix, and that became more of the most lucrative deal uh, in terms of overshadowing her announcement. And so, what I like about this article, in addition to revealing what kind of went on during that time from her perspective, it starts off with just how did she get to the point where it was time to move on from ABC? And it was a lot of revealing information. On its face, you could say, well, did things end simply behind a Disney pass? But I think,
Was that
the
the last straw? It sounds like
that's exactly what it was. I was going to
it's
say it was
symbolic.
very much the cherry on a messed up Sunday, because before that you could tell there was some negotiations about her pay and her worth.
Hmm.
And like she starts off, I'm giving you 70 hours annually of excellent television single handedly.
Hmm.
And the fact that I still have to prove my worth, or if I push back and ask for a little bit more, that's even something to cause you to hesitate. It is a little, not baffling, but just it, it you're amazed a little bit about that after someone who's clearly proven their worth and their value still having to do so.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. And so then after, there's the scene is set with talks of negotiation on pay, And then on top of that, yes, I did straight up ask you for an extra Disneyland pass. And the executive is like, the nerve, don't you have enough? And so it that stung a little bit.
Mhm.
That stung. And,
Well, let's, if I can just pause on that for a second, because depending
sure,
upon who you are and what your mindset is, and how you have grown, and Shonda has grown a lot. She's the first to admit it. It's a Disney pass. Seems like a small thing. Oh, I'm this high-ranking person at ABC, which is now owned by Disney, and I've been given a certain number of passes, like lifetime. It's not a big deal, I have them, right? Circumstances change, people in my family already, I have a nanny or a friend who's going to take my kids.
her
I need,
sister.
I need to arrange all of this. Oh, wait, now I have some number of them going on a pass. Maybe there's a separate pass gate. I don't have enough passes for everybody in that party for me to then figure out how to purchase one that's on the same level. I don't know. And I'm too important. I'm at the top of the pile. It shouldn't be that hard for me to call into some other entity who recognizes my name, who understands what I've already been accorded, the perks of being this very important person,
And
and
the
ask
thing
for
is, it was a one-off situation.
it. And it was
This
one,
wasn't
yeah,
her being obnoxious and
right,
saying,
yeah. She's not
"Oh, can I have 10 more, 5 more?"
right.
No, it was a situation in a scenario where her sister was going to take her hang out with her older daughter because she wasn't actually in a position. She was busy.
Yeah,
And because of the nature of the past, it's not as easy as to just say, "Here, Cynthia,
yeah,
can you go take my daughter on my behalf?" It's actually personalized.
yes,
So
right,
that's why she went through the process of trying to get one for her sister so she can go do this one-off trip
yes.
with her daughter. So it wasn't a situation of, we've given you 20 passes and here you come asking for 30.
But if it was a man, if it was a
Hmm.
man saying, I
Hmm.
can't do this, but my father or my brother is in a position to take my kids. Oh, not a problem, not a problem. You can hear it. I'm sorry, you can hear it. It's not a big deal. We'll take care of that.
Yeah.
All of a sudden it's a woman. Well, we're going to make it a little bit more difficult for you because really you're asking for an awful lot. Maybe if it was a white woman who would have gone all Karen,
Ah,
she would have said, "Are you kidding me?" and then read them the riot act. But instead,
yeah.
Shonda has to navigate a very different terrain, and that is to be classy,
Yeah.
to maybe take it more than she took it, and then finally maybe just sat in silence until somebody delivered, which is always a really good tactic. If they're thinking they're going to wait you out, no, I'm sorry, I'll just keep cleaning out my desk drawer or whatever. I'll wait for you to buckle. And
Yeah.
that's, and Shonda's become very good at that,
Yeah.
but that's only with experience.
Yeah. No, that
And
takes.
and
Yeah.
so, there was no scandal, pardon the pun. There was no headline on the National Enquirer saying Shonda Rhimes, is nickel and diming Disney for passes or anything. No, it all got handled very quietly, but
It did.
it resonated because that's a tone, that's a cultural tone. And she was at the point where so
And
many,
that's why she was ready to shop.
right, so many
That
of
left the
those
bad taste
had
in
to
her
carry.
mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm
So
already having to again reaffirm my value,
mm,
even though 70 hours
right.
annually.
Yeah.
And I still have to negotiate wanting the amount of money I want. And then on top of that, I asked for this pass randomly. And so yeah, all the signs were there. Perhaps it's time for her to move on.
Of
Hence why
course,
she,
value. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And that's when she starts to have the initial conversations with the president of Netflix. And even then there was that slow court period, right?
Mhm.
Because she's still loyal. She's not, if I think Disney would have made things right, sure, I'm gonna stay. And that's any of us in any, company that we work for. If we feel valued, we'll stay and continue to give you the best that we've got. But yeah, so at this time she starts to have conversations with him, and then what our Netflix, and then that turned into the splash of headlines we see.
Mhm.
But I find it interesting kind of moving through that point Now that the ink is dry, so to speak, with Netflix, it was quickly overshadowed by Ryan Murphy's deal
Yep.
and assumed that he was all time highest producer, showrunner,
Contract.
for any network, right?
Yep.
And no one questioned it because why? Here's a white man, successful shows. It only sounds right, right? Of
Mhm.
course, he's going to make more than Shonda. And I appreciate her sharing even how coming to terms with ego and then just truth. And I say it that way because she also illustrates, how women, we generally are very modest
Mhm.
when it comes to our accomplishments
Mhm.
and talents, where men are not. And it's even more amazing when I see men who are mediocre who are the first to act like they are all of that.
Oh, we have another whole episode on mediocre men. Summer, let's bring us home.
And so, owning that power of don't dim your light.
Right. And that's
And
an
especially in this
important.
moment when she was the highest ranked paid person for this deal.
Right. She talks a lot about why it is important to not hold back on the it's not even ego. It's just taking
Right.
legitimate earned pride in what you do and standing up for it.
Yeah.
And that will be a theme that you hear from both of us time and time again, because we as women need to tell it to each other.
Mhm.
We need to remind each other to hold that ground. And whatever that success has been measured in, remind people exactly how wonderful it was and what
Mhm.
you have done and why you did it.
Mm.
I
And I
can't
love that moment where she
emphasize
talks.
that enough.
Yes, and I love when she talks about, getting the award and
At the at L for L through L magazine. That one?
correct.
Mhm.
Yes. I can't find the quote right now, but basically paraphrasing what she said, I am the highest paid showrunner.
Mhm.
And the fact that she contemplated that. I mean, she knew she was being a word, she knew she had to give a speech
Mhm.
and contemplated whether or not she wanted to own it in that moment with Ryan Murphy in the room.
Yep.
But the bottom line is facts are facts.
Yep.
This is not an opinion. And all the diligence she did with making sure, with her lawyers and her team, is this true? Did I make the most money? And again, it wasn't from an ego perspective. It was just that validation of you. We're so quick to assume that guy over there is the bee's knees. And that even though Shonda is beloved and successful in her own right, Ryan Murphy crashed it. No, she actually did.
And that's why you're going to hear from us that we talk about people crushing. We talk about women crushing it, and we
Yes.
celebrate, and we will remind you to celebrate both individually, whatever you're doing with your friends, whether
Yes.
it's the small things or the big things, and then talk about it, because we've got to keep the storytelling going. We
Mhm.
can't just be living in our own silos,
Right.
feeling maybe semi good about what it is that we're doing. We need to keep that bond going. And
Yeah.
that's so important. We've come so far in 4 years when you think about it. When
Mhm.
all of a sudden on a Sunday in January, millions of women showed up all around the world to finally say, we stand for something.
Yeah.
And how powerful that has been in 4 years, how this there is a bond, but it has, with the economics of what's going on and COVID and the pandemic and society, that is the opportunity to divide us, and that cannot be, because what we can only hope for the future is that with all of this innovation, that women are very much in decision making modes. Well, you know what, they end up putting women in charge of companies that are failing, because guess what, it's either going to take a heroic effort to bring that company back, and then that company gets back up to being good, and then what, she's out the door because, oh, she was difficult to work with all those years.
Right.
Whereas you're not a turnaround king. No, you're difficult to work with. We have to get past all of that. So
Yeah.
continuing to talk about those instances, celebrate celebrate what Shonda has been and the fact that she's going to be with us for decades to come,
Oh my God.
cranking out the most innovative TV that there is.
Her legacy is never in question. And
Yes.
this is only the beginning of what she sees, and kind of putting a button on things in terms of the year of yes. And you can see how it is because of that mind shift for her that she was able to own that moment in accepting her L award and saying on the spot, I am the highest paid
Yes.
person, make no mistake. But it was that having the audacity to be great and stand firm in your greatness is something that we as women don't allow ourselves to do. And we need to work on that. I need to definitely work on standing firm in who I am and my accomplishments.
And I've got your back on that. And I have that's what I do in advanced TV herstory all the time, is
Yeah.
trying to represent both the real positive as well as the opportunities that unfortunately slipped by. And so, I'm just going to go back to the previous episode and Elizabeth Taylor, and what we really learn from understanding the lives of the women who preceded us and the ones who were trying to make progress, but did so with so much humility that they never really told their story while they were still alive.
Since you can
So
run the
the
book really quick.
Absolutely. Oh, well, and then there's that story. Yes. Yes. And that and so when you think about the support and the connectedness of some incredibly powerful women right now, and that Shonda and Michelle Obama have taken the time in the middle of their lives to tell
Yes.
their stories, to push these lessons out. You need to read these.
Yes.
These are neither of them, neither Shonda nor Michelle Obama, were women of means.
Yeah.
They did have opportunity for education, and they had a sense of their own self-worth, and they had a certain sense of confidence, but that really grew, and they are human enough and recognize how important that their story is, that they've told it in a way that is very accessible
And then
regardless of your age and your race.
absolutely. And to thread that needle even more, when you're talking about a year of yes, which is all about pushing boundaries for yourself, doing things that you would normally deny yourself out of fear or just whatever those voices are inside of you that you can stifle growth. Then you have a book like Becoming. And what I love about Becoming is it's not about my life is done, I'm complete. It is who you are constantly evolving into.
Yes.
And so it's just taking those themes of allowing yourself to say yes to things that normally would frighten you, and then embracing the idea of becoming who you are constantly.
Yep. Spend a little less time on Instagram taking selfies and showing the world what's on your plate, and more in your own head advancing yourself. And I think that we've definitely got to be there, because we've got to change. We ourselves have to internally transition to be ready for this very changed world
Yeah.
once the pandemic is under control and we walk out. We are not going to be walking back out into
Yeah.
what
There is
goes
no
down,
going back to what was.
right?
It's all about what it will be.
And this is our chance. We've got to break out of the gates. All
Yes.
right. Well, that's our inspiration, because we always find inspiration in Shonda.
That is our sermon for the day. Feel free to
Yes.
offer tithes to no.
Oh, peace to every one of you for watching us. And
Yeah.
Summer, I'm going to let you close us out, because
Yes.
you've got such a way with words.
Again, we are just so appreciative of your time. We know that there are plenty of things that you could have been doing, but you graced us with your presence, and we are forever grateful for that. We are just enjoying every moment of this, striving to be better. Just we're just creators, just trying to put something out there. We've got a few things on our mind and a little bit of something to say, and we just hope that you are continuing to stick it out with us during this journey. If you haven't done so already, hey, subscribe. Subscribe. That way, you don't have to wonder when is Summer and Cynthia coming out with another show. Because guess what? When you subscribe, you will always be in the know. And
Ding.
then Yes. And if you want some additional ways of connecting with us, feel free to check out our podcast, The Unconventional Woman. And Cynthia,
Advanced TV history. Links
get
are in the show notes.
links are in the show notes, and we are out there on I'm on Twitter, all the things. You can find us, Google us, but we more than anything value you for being here. Subscribe, and if you really, really love us, won't you tell somebody?
Yeah.
Share. Sharing is
And we're
caring.
a clean show. So
Well, I can't always guarantee that, but we're an honest show.
that's great. All right. Thank you, Summer. Great chatting.
Bye, you
See
guys.
you later.